UNC is in a weird place. Because the win is the win is the win. That's all. Like we said it on Friday. I talked a lot about all these side quests for the good teams. I got to UNC talking about Notre Dame, and I just said, by any means necessary. An inch or a mile. You need to win the game. Technically, they did that. Kudos to you. If you have more response than that, I want to hear from you during our Monday sound off in about 15 minutes. Phone lines will open 919-860-5326. Let's start with what we know about UNC. UNC's team this year, it's Ian Jackson's team. Ian Jackson, and I'm going to stop tracking this because I think it just is what it is now, but Ian Jackson played more minutes, took more shots, scored more points, and controlled the game more than RJ Davis did against Notre Dame. That's now, 3 or 4 straight games of taking more shots, 3 or 4 straight games of scoring more points. Ian Jackson, the freshman, but against all logic or predictions at the beginning of the year, he has taken over, and he is now the centerpiece of a UNC team that returned the ACC Player of the Year from a season ago, the Jerry West Award winner for Best Shooting Guard a season ago. But it's more than just Ian Jackson having more output than RJ Davis. He's also just thriving. He has 100 points combined in the last 4 games. He's averaging 25. We'd be singing the praises of a senior returning 20-point scorer that puts together 100 points in 4 straight games combined.
And it's not like those 100 points are being buoyed by like a 45-game performance either.
It's all mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's taken him 100 shots. He's shooting over 56% from the field. So he's efficiently scoring points in bunches. That's good. Okay? Because once you figure out what your fulcrum is, once you figure out what the center is, then you can start building the structure around it. Hubert Davis, their head coach, after the game, talked about having multiple different players contributing.
I told him after the game I can point to everybody that made impact plays out there to help us win, whether it's on the offensive end and defensively, and that's what ultimately what has to happen is you have to have guys step up, and Elliott stepped up late. Jay Witt hit a 3. Drake was struggling from 3. Then he knocked down the 3. I was just really proud of this group. Going through tough times, and you have a disappointing game on Wednesday, and then you get back on the road and you're playing at noon, and you just want something good to happen. And I'm just really happy for these kids, and it's awesome to see that smile on their face.
That in right there is both everything good about that Notre Dame win and also everything I'm kind of concerned about with that Notre Dame win. Got contributions from all over the place, and he started listing them, and they were good. You need more than that from a lot of those guys. Drake Powell, quiet from 3, then he hit 1. Drake Powell went 1 of 6 from 3. If you're going to take the second most threes in the game, you're going to have to shoot a better percentage than that. Everybody's going to have cold games. One game isn't the end of the world. But Drake Powell is also the type of athlete, if the 3 isn't going in, go dunk on some people. You can attack and find different ways to impact it. Things like, let's talk RJ Davis. Because I had this conversation with a buddy who is as basketball nerdy as anyone I know. I basically said RJ Davis needs to seed number 1 option. As I've been saying for a little bit, right? Let Ian Jackson be the center. I said RJ Davis might even fall down to like the 3rd highest usage percentage. And the question immediately came back. Are you saying RJ Davis is the 3rd best player on UNC? Or are you saying he and they would benefit from one of your better players being the 3rd option? That's it. I think RJ Davis not being the center point might be a good thing for UNC, but they still need RJ Davis to have a major impact on the game. He had 8 points. That's not enough. I think as the 2nd or 3rd option, 2nd most games, 3rd occasionally, he can be unlocked and still get a more efficient 20. If Ian Jackson's taking more shots, there's nothing that says RJ Davis can't still have 20. He isn't the 3rd most talented player on the team, but his talent fits a playing off of someone else role. The fact of the matter is this: squeaking by Notre Dame is not good enough. The good thing is you were playing Notre Dame. So you got the win playing the way you played. You're going to have to play better than that at multiple other points on your schedule for consistent stretches of your schedule if you're going to play your way back into the conversations you want to play your way back into. And I'm talking about being near the top of the conference, being one of the top seeds in the ACC tournament, finding a way to get yourself back into conversations, for at-large bids and everything else you're looking for at the end of the year. What you did against Notre Dame isn't good enough anywhere except for you got one more point on the final score. You lost the second half. R.J. Davis had 8 points. Didn't shoot well enough from 3. If I'm not mistaken, you were out-rebounded by Notre Dame, although it wasn't egregious, so I'm not going to kill you on that one. This UNC team, I would completely and totally understand if fans were I'm very nervous, or not nervous, very reluctant to actually smash the panic button. I would be understanding if you wanted to smash the panic button on this year's team. And it's one of those things, they may have just underestimated how much they were going to miss having a true pivot back to the basket big man, and now they're scrambling ways to make up for it. But that's something that's out of your control as far as this year's UNC team. If this were the NBA, do you know what would be happening?
Trades.
Yeah, GM would be calling up someone looking for like Isaiah Hartenstein or something. We need a 7-footer. They'd be calling it up. They'd be trading future picks. They'd be finding a way because the rest of this team is too good to just punt. In college basketball, you don't have that ability. The GM can't call up some, stumbling Western Conference team and make them an offer. So you got to find your way on your own. I think they've made the first adjustment, which is featuring their freshman Ian Jackson significantly more. I mean, he just recently was thrown into the starting lineup, and he's averaging 25 over his last 4 games. That's a big step. That's a big change. You have to give the coaching staff credit for making that type of change. Now, on the fly, you have to figure out the best way to accompany him as the main course. To use an analogy, you burnt the turkey. Luckily, you had a ham. Now you have to figure out if all the side dishes still make sense with the ham. Might not be the best analogy, but hey, I'm trying over here. Ian Jackson is the point I was trying to make. He's the new main course. You have to figure out what works best around him, and I guarantee you will not reach the lofty heights if R.J. Davis isn't one of, if not the main course, one of the main side dishes. Right, he's got to be something you depend on, and he will get more open shots. He will get higher percentage shots because the defense is going to have to focus in on someone else.
I remember before Seth Trimble got hurt, the last game he played was against UCLA. I remember Hubert Davis using 4 guards, Cadeau, Davis, along with Jackson and Trimble all on the floor together. I'm curious when Seth Trimble does come back, if that's something he's going to implement just to get that speed and that tempo out there on the floor, which might open things up for Davis in transition, along with Ian Jackson being the scorer that he's been.
I would love it. I don't think it becomes your new, I'm in football season, your new base defense. I don't think it becomes your new base personnel, but it has to be something you deploy at certain moments. Right?
We saw a lot against UCLA. A lot of it.
I love in basketball when there's like an inbound play and you see what the defense is doing, then there's a timeout. You come out with something completely different. I love the idea of flipping 4-guard lineups in often, but not all the time, because it can get a little tiring for those guys if they're always have to run and are always rebounding kind of above their level.